Hey everybody, what you doing? How are things going for you in your world? Welcome to the Tiny Studio. My name is Neil, and today is Let's Crochet and Chat. What are we going to be talking about today? I have some things that may be a little controversial that we could talk about today. But what have you been working on? It's been a minute since I talked about crochet and some of my crochet endeavors. But I've been working on my granny square afghans and on my son and daughter-in-law's afghan. I've been working on that. I've been making some progress, so I will share that with you at another time. But today, every time I do this crochet and chat, I be saying to myself, I'm going to talk about this, or I'm going to talk about that, and I'm going to show this, and I'm going to show that. And you know what? I can never find it. I have it put out, but for whatever reason, I can't find it. So let me look into my bag and see if I have it. Oh, now if you recall, I had been working on making some crochet flowers, right? For this afghan that I am gifting a really good friend of mine, and I hope that she is not watching, because if she has been watching, then she's already seen the afghan. But anyhow, I've been making flowers for this afghan. So for the past few days, I've been working on making flowers. So here are the flowers so far that I have created or crocheted, and they are in this they are in this black plastic container here that some sheets that my husband bought for our bed. I just decided to just reuse the packaging, because I'm all about sustainability, and if I can reuse it and get some more mileage out of it, why not? Right. So let's see, I'm going to show you a few of the flowers that I made. Now if you recall, also I went to Hobby Lobby, and Hobby Lobby had their really cool clearance sale, and I bought a lot of yarn from there. And so some of these flowers are made from or crafted by the yarn that I picked up at Hobby Lobby. And let's see, I want to share that with you and let you know what I thought of the yarn. Okay, now my favorite yarn so far, and I've made these beautiful flowers out of, is the Studio 72 yarn. And Studio 72 yarn has I believe it was 50% acrylic, and then it had 50% acetate. And you remember I said I had never worked with acetate before. So these flowers are 50% acrylic and 50% acetate. And I just love the way they look and the way they feel. They feel so beautiful. I really enjoyed crocheting these flowers. Can you see them? I really enjoyed this, and it just felt so good in my hands. So soft. And that's one thing about Hobby Lobby yarn. Hobby Lobby yarn is so soft, period, anyway. But you know what? I've never used their, what's that yarn called? Craft Smart or something, Crafter's Dream, something else. If you know the name to that of that yarn, I've never used that before, so I cannot say whether it's soft or not. But the yarns that I have used from Hobby Lobby, outside of the Crafters, whatever the name of that yarn is, outside of that, most of their yarns are pretty soft. Now, there is one yarn that I use that I also enjoy using, and it was the Hint of Silk yarn. And this is the Hint of Silk. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, here is one here. This is the Hint of Silk yarn. And this Hint of Silk is, let's see, 65% bamboo and 15% silk. So I enjoyed using this. Here are the flowers that was created from that yarn. And this is in the color, I believe it was charcoal. So I really enjoyed using that yarn. Now I did use the cotton yarn, and I cannot remember what the name of it was. I cannot remember, and I thought that I had more than one of them. I cannot. Okay, now here is the Studio 72 yarn. Yes, it's 50% acetate and 50% acrylic, and that's what these flowers were made of. Studio 72. I hope I said it was Studio 72. That's Studio 54, right? Okay, so I was looking for that one yarn I wanted to talk about and give my review on. And it was the cotton yarn that I purchased. And I'm thinking it was cotton and that it had a little acetate in it as well. I didn't like that one. I didn't like that yarn. Let's see if I can find any in here for you. Oh, that's right. I made a hand towel from that yarn, and I think, where did I put it? It had some oh, I see it. It's on the other side of this camera. It was made, it was cotton, but it had a little excuse me, it had a little acetate in it, and I didn't like it. And the reason why I did not like that yarn is I didn't like the way it felt. I didn't like the way it felt to me. And it also, there were moments where there was some splitting that occurred. And as we all knew, I do not like yarn that splits. Can't stand it. So I did not really like this yarn. It was cotton and acetate. And when I come across that label again, I will let you see it. I didn't really like that. And you know, I'm not a cotton yarn connoisseur. However, I have used I've used quite a few yarns. I've used 24/7 yarn. I think that was by Lion Brand. I've used I Love This Cotton, of course. I've used Sugar Wheel cotton. Both of those, I Love This Cotton and Sugar Wheel Cotton. That is a Hobby Lobby brand. I think it's called Yarn Bee. No, Sugar Wheel. Is Sugar Wheel Yarn Bee? Let's see. Because I have some right here. Yes. Sugar Wheel Cotton is on the Yarn Bee brand. And I think I Love This Cotton is its own brand. But I've used that, and I've also used what are those little, I can't think of it right now. Walmart sells that cotton. I cannot think. I can see it right here in front of my face, but I cannot recall the name of it. But I've used a lot of different cotton yarns. But this particular cotton that had the cotton and a little bit of acetate in it, I didn't like that. I didn't like the way it felt to me. And I'm really curious as to whether or not my husband will enjoy it, because he likes white washcloths. And so I've been making white washcloths for a few months now, and that's what he enjoys using, because he likes to, of course, he likes to clean his face with white cotton towels. And I'm very curious as to what he may think about that cotton. I made two of them, two cotton towels out of that one skein. I am really curious as to what he would think about those towels made from cotton and a blend of cotton and acetate. Okay, so these are the beautiful flowers, and oh, and they feel so soft. What is this again? That's that Studio 72, that yarn. And you know what? I will be buying some more of this. Yes, I will. Let me see. This takes a size. You can use a size 5.5 crochet hook and a size 5 knitting needle with this yarn. And I really, really like it. And you know, that was the reason why when I went into Hobby Lobby for their clearance, their yarn clearance, that's the reason why I walked in methodically, because I wanted to, let's say, I wanted to pick yarns that I had never used before, which was probably why they were on sale in the first place. But I wanted to buy yarns that I had never used before, and I wanted to see if I liked them, and I did. I liked this one, and I liked the Hint of Silk. This was a pretty good one. Now the Hint of Silk is regularly $5.99, $6. So what I'm probably going to do is, and let me see, that's Studio 72 is $5.99 as well. So I probably, you know, I'll just, you know, pull the trigger and buy them. I don't have a problem with the price because it's worth the price to me. And Hobby Lobby now has their 30% sale going on yarn, so I don't mind spending the extra money, and I don't mind getting a 30% discount. I don't mind that either, because it's a good yarn. And that's one of the things that when it comes to working, you know, with yarn, that I find I'm really passionate about it, and I don't mind spending money on good yarn. I don't have a problem with that. I do like a good sale, and I do like a discount, because hey, the economy is, you know, really rough out here. Did you see how much gas is at the pump? I mean, any measure of saving some coins, that's what it's really all about today. But isn't this flower a cutie? I love it. And so that is what Trey is working on in the tiny studio, and I think that I have enough flowers to begin the process of, you know, sewing them onto the Afghan, because I really want to wrap this baby up. I really do. I hate to say it, I'm getting sick and tired of looking at it. It's time. Excuse me, it's time for me to ship this baby off and move on to other things here in the tiny studio. I just heard somebody scream. I'm guessing that came from outside. Let's hope so. You know, we're living in perilous times, so you just never know, do you? Okay, so what am I working on today? Well, today I will be working on this Afghan. It's Granny Afghan. And the last time you saw it, I'm thinking I was maybe here. I'm thinking I was here, but I could have been right here in the blues. This beautiful Cairn Simply Soft Turquoise. I think I was there, and then I added some red to this, and now I am using this really cute, I don't know what I want to call it. I think it's plum. So I'm using this plum, and I am on, look like the first row. Well, no. I started somewhere over here, and now I'm just working my way around with this cute plum, and I'll probably do 2 rows of the plum. And I was thinking about what to use next, what I could do next. I don't know. I'm probably going to switch back to the sugar wheel. No, I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to, I have some other yarns around here, so I think that I'm going to add something else to this. So it's time to get started. And I'm looking for my size 5 hook, and I'm thinking that both of them are somewhere else. So let me see. I'm just going to have to use my Furrows 5mm hook. And that's what I'm going to do. I keep hooks more than one of the same size of my more popular hooks. I keep them because I have had situations where I have misplaced a hook, and that has caused me to run out and buy another hook. But basically, that has caused me to pause a project until I have acquired another hook. So what I do now is I just keep more than one of my popular hooks. And so right now I have, I want to say maybe 4 5mm hooks, 2 5.5mm hooks, and several size 10 hooks. And basically the reason is because, you lose them. They could be anywhere. They could be in a couch. They could be hiding somewhere in your bed, under your bed, any place that you crochet. Sometimes your hook decides that they want to go on vacation, and when they go on vacation, you're stuck, right? So it's always best to have something in the wings ready to pop in when you need it. And just like I said today, there are 2 hooks that are playing hooky, but that situation did not stop my show. Right? So what's going on with you today? What's going on with me? I have a lot of thoughts going on in my mind. I'm still kind of marinating on this Roe v. Wade situation. And what I'm ruminating on is not me per se for myself, but I'm ruminating on what my daughter's future will look like as far as reproduction health is concerned. I'm ruminating on that. I'm also, that's my phone ringing. I worry about my daughter's future and their reproductive health, and I worry about that. because when I was younger and I had to contemplate pregnancy termination, for me at the time, Michigan had just enacted a law or a situation where you couldn't use your Medicaid. You couldn't use Medicaid to uh, for pregnancy termination. And so, with me being an inner city young mom, working a minimum wage job in college at the time with already a small child, to be in a situation where now I have to come up with money of my own to terminate a pregnancy, that was very difficult. So I can really empathize with the moms or women who are facing a situation where they're contemplating a pregnancy termination, but now in their state they may not be able to have access to one. And for me, that is, I can really empathize with that. And the other more sinister side of the entire situation is the fact that, to be honest with you, none of this has anything to do with abortion. It sounds like people still have firecrackers out. I wanted to roll with that. I don't want to think that that sound was something other than a firecracker, even though it is the 7th of July. But anyhow, yes, that was a firecracker. Um, Sinister. We were on that. Yes. When And I think everyone should read the decision that was handed down by the Supreme Court. Read what Justice Alito and Justice Thomas had to say about overturning Roe v. Wade and their reasoning behind it, because it's very illuminating, and it also gives us a reference point, in my opinion, towards where this country is heading. And I should say this reference point really began right, I want to say, in 1964, after the Civil Rights Bill was passed, because there were still a lot of forces that they wanted to keep Black people in this country in a subjugated position. So for me, that reference point began in 1964, and right now it's starting to pick up speed, per se. And how does the 1964 civil rights, what does that have to do with Roe v. Wade? Nail, break it down. I just want to say this. In that decision, where Justice Alito and Justice Thomas argue that the right to privacy is not in was not in the Constitution drafted by the founders of this country. The right to privacy situation the fact that many rights are attached to the right to privacy decision established by the court, and the fact that the court just overruled Roe v. Wade, using the argument that the right to privacy is not in the Constitution and that abortion is not in the Constitution. Therefore, there are a lot of other rights that we have in this country as Black people that are not in the Constitution. In fact, if you look at the Constitution, there are laws specifically against us having rights as Black people in this country. So what this decision really did was open the door to more sinister efforts to push Black Americans, minorities, and those of the LGBTQ community, any movement outside of white supremacy, to push all of us down into to suppress us, oppress us, and subjugate us. That's what's getting ready to happen. And I believe that's going to be the future of this country. I really believe, and I heard someone else say it too the other night, that the United States of America is one of the most racist countries on the face of this earth. And even though the United States has made a lot of great strides, has done a lot of great things here on this land and abroad, this is still a very racist country. This is still a very bloodlust country. I mean, we can't even get guns off the street. We can't even get laws on the books that prevent the selling and the usage of weapons that are made for war. We can't even get those off the street. We're happy with allowing idiots. We're happy with allowing idiots go to their local gun and hobby shop and buy assault weapons to mow down hundreds of people at a time. We're happy with that. That's how we roll in this country. We like that. We like to use and have weapons in our gun shelves and cabinets where you can just, shoot somebody and obliterate them. We like that. But yet and still, Roe v. Wade was overturned. It doesn't make sense, do it? That's because it wasn't supposed to make sense. The fact of the matter is, there is a plan. There is a plan in place. And it may not, Roe v. Wade, the overturning of Roe v. Wade may not make sense. However, in the grander scope of things, the grander scheme of things, it kind of does. Because it's just a puzzle piece. It's just a puzzle piece. And the puzzle is yet unfinished. But here's another piece of it. And we all know what the end result is going to be. It's just the fact that none of us are really ready to talk about it, are we? We're not ready to talk about it. Black America certainly isn't. Black America's not really aware and hip to what's going on. Because all we're doing is having a good old time. We're having a good old time making it do what it does. That's all we're doing. We're happy with being misinformed. We're happy with uplifting celebrities that don't even know how to use proper English. Yep, you know who I'm talking about. We're just thrilled with all of this overt, well, I don't want to say, yeah, it is, with this blatant, in your face sexuality we got going on. We're thrilled with that. I mean, we're counting down and keeping a excuse me, a really good count of how many children Nick Cannon has, what number he's on. See, Nick Cannon can take care of his kids. He's not the only person that's floating around here with 8 or more kids. The only thing is Nick Cannon's taking care of his. What about Jerome over there? Who's not? What about that situation with the McDonald's thing they had over there on TikTok or whatever it was, Instagram, whatever it was, where the dad, and it all turned out to be just play acting. But the skit was a dad arrived to his child's home, the mother of to his child's house, his baby mama, if you want to call it that, and he had McDonald's for his child, but she has 3 other kids by other daddies, and there's no McDonald's for them. Those kids will like McDonald's as well, so it became a whole big thing on in these internet streets about, children, how you supposed to treat them if they're not your own, and all this other stuff. And it's really sad. To me it was really sad to see how many women, young women and men, really believe that it was okay for the dad to pop by the house with some McDonald's for his kid and not any McDonald's for the rest of the kids in the household. It was amazing to me to see how many people felt that was cool. Children are children. Children are children. And they should not be punished for their parents' choices. Right? That's what I thought. I mean, when the ice cream man came around, woo, 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 the ice cream man came around, and my grandfather bought ice cream. He didn't just buy ice cream for me. He bought ice cream for my friends. He said, okay, here's $2. Everybody get you some ice cream. That's when ice cream was about 25 cents, 50 cents at tops. You know? Everybody get you some ice cream. Whatever $2 can get, make sure these kids have some ice cream. Those weren't his kids. They didn't live in his house. They were my friends. But he made sure they had ice cream in the popsicle too. It wasn't a situation where I just had a popsicle and I was sitting outside with my popsicle and enjoying it. No. See, the thing is, we don't have a sense of community. We don't have a sense of respect for one another. We don't even want to respect one another's children. We don't want to respect. I mean, even though this was like a skit, and the parents were saying that they were just it was just a skit, it wasn't real. But the fact of the matter is that the response and the response to the fact that it's okay for dad to bring over McDonald's for one, but screw the other kids in the household. I didn't understand that. It's the mama's fault. It's her job. It's not his responsibility to feed everybody in the house. It's McDonald's, for God's sake. Don't they have like a dollar menu? It's 4 kids, four cheeseburgers. I think it's $1.49 or whatever. And better yet, screw the McDonald's. You just took that money, bought some bread, peanut butter and jelly, and all the kids ate. A pack of hot dogs and some buns. All the kids would have ate. I don't know. I just think that it's just the world that we live in today. Don't nobody care about no one else. Everybody's in it for themselves. Everybody's in it to win it for them and them only. And it's because black people think like that. That's how we're all going to end up in an effed up situation very, very soon. We are already in one. But because we don't have that sense of family, that sense of respect for one another, that sense of community, since we don't have any of that going for us anymore like we should, that's why we going down the tubes, yo. That's why. That's why it's going to be so easy to pick us off. That's why. I mean, think about it. Do you think this type of mess is happening over in Africa? In Kenya? In Ghana? How about in Tanzania? Or Senegal? Or Rwanda? You think this type of stuff is going on over there? No, because they have a sense of family and a sense of community going on. That's why. That's because they believe in a village. We don't believe in a village because some of us were not taught that. Those type of principles and values, some of us did not get that teaching. And that's by design. Because if you can divide, you can conquer. In Black America, you've been conquered. You got Clarence Thomas on the Supreme Court. And he co-signed this mess. And I guess he thinks that since he's on the highest court of the land, that none of this stuff that's about to go down is going to affect him. Well, what he doesn't understand and know is that he is just a tool. He is just a tool or a mechanism to further the plan of cementing white supremacy in this country. Just a tool. And he doesn't get it yet. He thinks he's above the rest of us. He's not above us. He's one of us. He just don't remember. But guess what? He'll be reminded soon. Now, I hate to sound like this, all doom and, doom and gloom, but, the writing's on the wall, as Sam Smith said back in the day. Well, not exactly back in the day, but a few years ago. The writing's on the wall, man. And unfortunately, there are people that are interpreting that writing and no one is paying attention. And when you get ready to, and when you decide to pay attention or ask, hey, what does that writing on the wall say again? There's not going to be anyone around to interpret it for you. And those who are, let's say there's one or two people left to interpret what that writing on the wall, what it says, the meaning is not going to be of any help to you or to them. It's going to be empty words. It's going to be verbiage that will have no effect on you whatsoever because you waited too long. You were not paying attention. And because you were not paying attention, you were left behind. Or you will find yourself in a situation where those words can't help you now. And that's what I got from the Roe v. Wade decision. That's what I got. I got that it's about abortion, but it's about so much more. It's like I was listening to NPR, and I think I told you about this about a month ago, and there was a guest on, and it was right after the Uvalde tragedy, and there was a guest on, and he was a professor over in Toronto, and he was saying that the host was like, well, why is it so difficult for the United States to get it together when it comes to gun legislation, getting these guns, especially these high-powered rifles, and why is it so difficult to get legislation to remove these things off the market and off the streets? And what the professor said, he said the thing is that America, a lot of these other governments around the world, these other countries, the reason why they were able to do so is because they have one government there. One government decides, hey, this is what we're going to do. Let's get it done. America is different because we have one federal government, and then we have 50 other governments. And then we have 2 more governments. So we have the federal government. We have our 50 state governments. So we have one constitution, 50 other constitutions created by each state. Then we have a Congress and we have a Senate. That's the reason why we have a situation where we can't get all of these guns off the streets and out of people's hands and out of ignorant people's hands. That's why. And while the United States has this checks and balances system, which is a good system, it's a flawed system. Because as I've been listening to the commentary about Roe v. Wade, there are going to be some states that are going to completely ban the termination of a pregnancy, and then there are going to be border states that are not going to ban it. So what happens when Heather jumps from, let's say, Mississippi and goes over into a neighboring state, or goes up to New York, or travels to California and gets it, and has her pregnancy terminated, and then she comes back to Mississippi, or she comes back to Texas? Will the authorities in her home state arrest her and prosecute her for terminating her pregnancy? Kind of like how the Fugitive Slave Act worked, that wherever, if you were a runaway slave and you made it to Pennsylvania, or you made it to New York, or you made it to any state that was considered a free state, bounty hunters from slaveholding states could come up to these states that did not have slaves or did not practice slavery. Bounty hunters could still come up there and, yank you out. Yank you and take you back. They could even, prosecute or press charges against a person in one of those states who may, abolitionists or so, who may knowingly plot and plan to harbor a fugitive slave. Is it going to be a situation like that? Nobody knows. But I'm very sure the courts are going to be deciding on that situation very soon. Very, very soon. Because that's what it's really coming down to. And especially the states here in the South, how, they're very, very keen on their rights, or exercising their rights. So the only thing that I can really say about Roe v. Wade in relative terms, when it comes to my daughter's generation and their future health, the only thing that I can truly say about that is, women practice birth control, and of course be the master of your birth control. Don't rely or wait on or expect your partner, your male partner, to be in control of whether or not you allow your body to become the host of humanity. That was a lesson that I learned. I learned that only I was able to control my reproductive health. I kept a supply of condoms in my bedroom. I did not rely on my partner or plural partners to have contraceptive, that was my department. That was my responsibility. Now, I'm not saying that men do not share in the responsibility of reproducing, but I'm not a man, I'm a woman, so I'm speaking to other women, young women, women of childbearing age. You're going to have to be responsible for you. You should already be responsible for you. You should already be responsible for your sexual health and your reproductive health. That should be something that goes without saying. But as we all know, if you are sexually active, sometimes whoopsies occurs, because sex is not just an act of intimacy and fun and all of that good stuff. Sex is also an act of biology. It's how the human race and every living creature on this planet, it is how we survive. So sex is biology. And oopsies, whoopsies do occur. So if you're living in a state where an oopsie or whoopsie occurs, and that state doesn't allow you to terminate that pregnancy, then you need to already be coming up with a plan on what to do. Start yourself a savings account where you can put money in it just in case you might have to go to another state, and you might have to pay for your travel and the other expenditures that happens when you travel to another state. Get your money right. Start saving. Think about who it is that you're sleeping with or would like to sleep with before you do it as well, because that will have a great effect on you too. Have these conversations before you become intimate, sexually intimate with someone. Because the worst thing that could ever happen to you is that you find yourself pregnant and alone and you don't know what to do. Right? Yes. So thank you so much for hanging out with me today here in the tiny studio. This was Let's Crochet and Chat. If there's something that you would like to talk about here in the tiny studio, drop down in the discussion or in the drop down in the comment section and let's talk about it. I don't mind chatting with you on various subjects, sensitive subjects, fun subjects, anything of that nature. I don't mind chatting about it or chatting it up here in the tiny studio. Thanks for hanging out. I'm on my second row using this very beautiful plum yarn. Excited about it. And I think this turned out, it's going to be a really nice Afghan. After I after I finish crocheting it, I'm going to be putting it up for sale this fall on my Instagram. I've been thinking about opening up an Etsy store, but I'm not sure because I've been hearing that Etsy has a lot of fees, and if you're not selling your items, then you know, the fees are going to accrue and, you know, leave you in the red. So if you're an Etsy seller or you have a shop on Etsy, let me know what you think about that. But anyhow, thank you so much for hanging out with me today in the tiny studio, and I'll catch you next time.